Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Putra Farizaz bin Azman and my student ID is 2019437626 and I'm from J4 EM110-4H. And today I would like to present about PLC lab simulation, which is lab 3. For lab 3, we are going to create a programming for this question. As you can see, this is the game buzzer control requirement, and the requirement needed are: 1 is after the host has finished the question, the 3 player will press the switch in front of them to fight to be the first to answer the question. And next, the buzzer will be sound for 10 seconds after any one of the player has touched the switch, and the light indicator in front of each player will be light up and only reset by the host switch. So as you can see, the X3 is the input for the start button 1, X4 the input for start button 2, X5 is input for start button 3, and XO is a reset button. TIM1 is timer 1. So what we must do first is we must make a relay for each button, which is each player. So we're inserting the input for X3, which is player 1, and then the output is R, we noted as R1. So we must make a relay because we want to keep the data for the player 1, player 2 and player 3. So follow the same step for 3 of them. So we have made the data that represent each of the player button, which is R1 will be representing for player 1, R2 will be representing the player 2, and R3 will be representing player 3. Next, I will note each of these push button. So this is player 1, this is player 2, this is player 3. Okay. Next, what we have to do is, based on the question, it says that 3 player will press the switch in front of them first to answer the question. So this is the push button, and then the next I will go to the light indicator first. So it says that whoever will push the button first and the light will be turned on. So as you can see here, the output for Y1 is light 1, Y2 is light 2, Y3 is light for player 3. Thrift for the player 1 must put a note which is not X4. And not X5. And this is not X3 and X5, and this is X3, not X3 and not X4.
Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Shahrin. I will continue what Putra has already done, and we will continue with the player like player 1 to 3 for the light and the buzzer. Okay, let's we go for the player number 1. As you can see here, for player number 1 we get the R1. So here we put the input R1 also, and then we enter. To that we will get the output here, which is for the player number 1 R1. The player light for player number 1 is Y1, so we put Y1 and we enter. Okay, after that we will continue with player number 2 and number 3. For player number 2 we put input R2 and we enter. After that, for the output is Y2, like in the question here. Then player number 3, and the output is Y3. Okay, now we done with the player light, and then we will do for the buzzer, which is Y0. And we can see the buzzer will sound for 10 seconds after any one of the player touch the switch. So when we when one of this player, which is the X3, X5, X5 push the button, so the buzzer will go to make a sound for 10 seconds. So to make that happen, we will make the R1, R2 and R3 in a parallel position. So we will need to put the input for R1, then down here we'll put the for the R2, and then down here is R3. Okay, so now we have the parallel for each of the switch. Then we will make these three combine to the buzzer, which is Y0. So we'll put here for the output Y0 for the buzzer. So we enter. So we can see here we already have the buzzer when one of these R1, R2 and R3 push the button. So now we will do the the timer, which is the Y0 will make a sound for 10 seconds. So at down here we will do same like this, which is at the end we'll put the timer. So let we make first R1, then R2, then R3, R3. After that we put the timer TMY. Then this is the first timer, and then for the time as the question need, which is 10 seconds, so we put 10 seconds. Oh wait, sorry, we need to put K 10 seconds. Okay, now we're done for the timer. And here we put the end node for T1. I'm sorry, wait a minute. So T1. Alright. Now we done with the player likes and the buzzer. Okay. After that, we're not done yet. So down here we'll put the input x0 and at the for the output, which is r0, to reset back after the question, after all this process is done. Okay. We done with the ladder diagram. Let's we go with the army roll for the simulation.
Okay, now is testing the ladder diagram to show that it works properly. First, we go to debug and then we turn on the simulation. Yes. And then we go to online and then we force inputs. Okay, the first input is X3. That is the start push button 1. And then we input X4. That is the start push button 2. And then X5, the start push button 3. And lastly X0, that is the reset button, reset switch. On the simulation, if I turn on the start push button 1, that is X3, only X3 will have output, that is Y1 will light up, and also the buzzer will turn on for 10 seconds. For the start push button 2 and 3 will be locked. So we'll wait about 10 seconds for the buzzer to turn off. Now the buzzer has been locked because we only set it for 10 seconds. The buzzer will turn off after the 10 seconds complete. Next is turning on the reset button, that is X0. After turning on the reset button, there will be no input that can be received. Basically, no input will be running because the reset button cut the flow on the simulation. Then, you must turn off all the start push button, including the reset button, for the system to be reset completely. So, turn on. All the system will be cut. And then we are going to try for the start push button 2 for player number 2. We are going to turn on X4, that is the start push button 2. After turning on, we could see that on the simulation, only X4 will have output, that is Y2 will turn on, will light up. Also, the buzzer will turn on for 10 seconds. We wait for 10 seconds to complete, and then the buzzer will turn off. You could see that the buzzer had already turned off. And then we repeat the same step to test for start push button 3. Alright, first output, we turn off all the start push button off. also we turn on the reset button for the simulation to be reset completely, and then we turn it off, and then we turn on the start push button 3 for player number 3. We could see that on the simulation only X5 will have output, that is Y3 will light up, and also the buzzer will turn on for 10 seconds. The buzzer is turned off after 10 seconds. To turn it off, you just have to turn on the reset button and then turn off the start push button 1. To see that there's no output that will flow. That is all from us. Thank you very much.